goes. Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 9th of October. So the headlines are obviously grabbed by the Israel attacks, and well, the markets are responding accordingly. So the dollar generally gains. There's a safety currency, very more liquidity. We'll also see generally a move to the yen, where the yen's held up against the dollar. It's held up against other markets reasonably well. And the Swissy, another safety currency, is holding up there, as is the Canadian dollar, maybe driven partly by the fact that oil was just shoved as well. So let's have a look at these markets, but actually just before we do that, so that's the sort of the key, the major risk impact on these currencies today. Before we do that, let's just have a quick, there we go, so bank holiday. Oh, it's a US bank holiday as well, of course, today. So we've got Columbus Day later. Ugh. So it could be a very quiet afternoon. Yeah, we'll take the afternoon off. I forgot about that completely. So yeah, lots of key bank holidays. I think we'll still see volatility through the markets regardless of these. Of course, the London market being the key market this morning. I say this morning, always in the mornings. I'm just having a quick look through. If it's an inflation week, I was just reminding myself in terms of what's the driver for this week. It'll be inflation. We've got US inflation on Wednesday and Thursday, different figures coming out there. And UK, yeah, GDP, monthly figures. Anyway, let's get on and look at these markets then, and we'll start off with looking at the euro dollar, some top-down analysis here. Firstly, it's remaining in its downward trend. I've got a closer trend line I must have put on either over the weekend or on Friday, but anyway, it's ducking back, but looking like it's ducking back below that in some respects. It's I've obviously put it on looking at some analysis here. Anyway, structurally things have changed a little bit with what's actually happened here. I did put it on last week now, remember. It's given us a higher low in this market, but with the situation, as I say, with the with Israel, we will probably see, I would expect the dollar to gain further during this morning, at least, and maybe longer than that. So we've got the gaps on some of these markets. Of course, at some stage these are prone to getting filled, but we need to wait until markets start turning around for that. In the meantime though, they're looking soft here. We've broken through, we're below the daily, and the S1 at least could come into play, if not more. I don't expect this to be over in a jiffy. Pound equally being sold off here. Again, did the same thing. I'm gonna definitely put these on Friday. Higher lows sitting through here, coming back towards its weekly pivot, and has broken a daily. Well, I would be surprised if the weekly pivot holds anything at the moment with what we're seeing here. Again, we'll see how this next hour or so sort of comes out, but I'm looking towards the downside, and this based more on a fundamental safety move as much as anything else. The yen, well, the yen softened a little bit on Friday. It's softened a tad this morning against the US dollar. Remember, this is US dollar yen. It's sitting there, not really going too far, consolidating, and I should steer clear of this. It's in a bit of a muddle anyway, what with the intervention or the potential intervention. It looks like it's not a sustained intervention. We only saw the one blip there and not a lot since. Aussie dollar, well, there's comments I mentioned, read there about the unions, LPG unions going back on strike, and it's not good for the country as a whole. It has its own weaknesses kicking in there, and of course a stronger dollar. So This again looks soft. It broke the trend line that was sitting there on Friday in the morning there. It flashed through, reverse, but could well be coming back down again. Same sort of picture. Actually, the gap was pretty much filled. It wasn't far off being filled there through the Asian session, but again looking soft. A break of these lows, the low of the 11 o'clock low from last night, might be a bit more of a trigger to the downside. US dollar CAD again, well, this one is gained a bit of strength here. Gained pretty well on Friday, but it's followed through. Sorry, it's Thursday and Friday, big pardon. It's followed through here a little bit this morning. It's in chop land as it sits at the moment. There's better markets to trade. New Zealand dollar, similar-ish as the others. Same old patterns, same old look about it as the Aussie dollar, so we'll leave that alone. Swissy gained this morning on the this morning had made some gains here. Just you see how it's bouncing back upwards, but sorry, dollar Swissy has gained, I should say. Heading towards its weekly pivot. I'm just looking at the price action. It's a bit conflicted here. I'm looking at a 4-hourly chart, just checking your lower highs, lower lows. Yep, that's right. Okay, lower lows, lower highs. Awful mess on Friday. It did come right the way off there. We'll see how this reacts. It does. There is the potential it just could react to the downside, bearing in mind the Swiss is also safety currency. Some of the cross pairs, euro yen, a big gap, bit similar to the other markets here. It's been horribly choppy of late, the euro yen. Looked at some potential on it, but not the greatest of markets. Euro pound again, it's always a bit choppy. Euro Aussie, chopping along here. Again, just not just far too choppy. Euro CAD looks a better option, potential. Quite like the pattern. It retraced. I was waiting for this last week to see if we got some reaction off the monthly and quarterly pivots here, and well, we have seen some reaction technically. Again, it would be a stronger move if we saw the break of the lows here. It would sort of confirm things a little bit more. It's a bit rangy at the moment. It's close to those lows, so I need to see more downside coming through on that. Euro New Zealand, similar price action. We didn't quite catch into the pivot there, the monthly pivot, but it's been coming off. Pretty much it's underside of a channel line. Actually, it's reacted to. But for now, Euro New Zealand certainly looks on the softer side of things here. We could just see this continue to drift to the downside. Pound Aussie's choppy. Pound CAD again. This is another one that's nice reaction from a daily perspective. I'm looking at what's happened here technically, running into the quarterly pivot and the monthly pivot. Same-ish pattern. When you come drill down here, though, of course, the 4-hourly still showing this higher low, so I need to see a breakdown before I can look to trade this one as well. So similar-ish picture, Euro CAD, Pound CAD. So a couple of opportunities there, just a bit of patience needed. Right, let's have a quick look now. Gold, it's no surprise to see this pushing up this morning. It's gapped up actually at the moment. This could continue to rise depending on how sort of in focus and how long this conflict goes on there. But we could see a continuation of the dollar strength coming through. That I say dollar strength, or it's not had any strength of late. It's been pretty weak, but did get a reversal on Friday, and well, it's pushed up there now. Oil. Let's look at Western Texas. I'll come into that in a second. Sorry, Nigel. Just saw your comment. Right. Gold, oil even. Oil's pushed up. It has left the gap below. I was waiting for a change in the markets on oil, but it has left this awful, I say awful gap, but this gap below. Maybe that could even be chased after today. It's got the scope to close, and both of them, yeah, maybe the same thing. Then, so you're looking at these sort of gaps. If I just come down to, yeah, I mean, it starts closing the gap. I would look out at what's happening on the fundamental side of things in terms of what's happening in Israel, because that could make quite a big difference here. If things start settling down, this will start closing the gap, I think, a bit easier. If it gets escalated, this will drive up quite strongly. So really, it's a fundamental play on both of these markets: the uncertainty in the oil markets and the usual safety flow of gold. So just need to watch those carefully. Right, equity markets, S&Ps. Big bullish engulfing day on Friday. Again, this news on the open here has not helped the equity markets, and they're down from the close. And it could be a continuation to the downside. The markets do not like uncertainty, and we're seeing an area which is pretty key. And you're looking at these across the market, across all of these markets here, the S&Ps, the Dow, the Nasdaq, all forming gaps here. The DAX here is off, big gaps on the DAX this morning. And again, it's just a case of watching and see what happens this morning. These could just continue. But to be fair, they had been dropping off. Let's just set the 4-hourly chart here. They had been dropping off, apart from Friday's blip to the upside there, pretty much. So, oops, the FTSE again, big gaps down. The actually FTSE gap is a bit more. It's actually filled its gap pretty much, but it does benefit from oil stocks quite a bit. So it's probably helped from the commodity stocks. Okay. So the key things really is just to watch what's happening. You need to keep an eye on the news this morning, I would suggest, and as we run through the day. But technically, as I said, there's quite a few markets there still got some potential downside. I wouldn't get too focused on the gaps. It could take a little bit of time for them to fill. If the markets do start showing their hand and they do start turning, the euro dollar's classic here, well, some of that gap's already been filled. To bear that in mind, more than halfway on the euro here. A lot of these gaps have been partially filled. It could be some time, and we could see continuations. Just a matter of waiting, bit of patience first thing this morning, see how they show. Right, on that note, I wish you a great day's trading on the YouTubers. For the YouTubers, I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye for now. There we go. That's the YouTubers done.